All right, hey everybody, this is Randall from Floribama Homesteader and my wife, the camera lady, Michelle. All right, and of course there's Mika in the background. What we're doing today is we're going to do a side-by-side comparison, and we're going to cook this Delicata squash. It's a winter type variety, really sweet, and it's probably one of the only winter squash that I actually like. We're going to cook this side-by-side with this Cherokee Tan Pumpkin that came out of the garden. It's been sitting in the garage curing for about 2 weeks now, and as you let it sit, they should intensify in flavor. It's been long enough, and we're going to cut these things open. I'm going to take the seeds out of this one, and we're going to save this one, and we're just going to clean the seeds out of this one. And we're going to do a bake-off comparison today. So we're going to do see how these things compare with each other. And I grew the Cherokee Tan and the Seminole Pumpkin side by side 2 years ago, but I never went back on camera to explain the taste side by side. And I didn't grow the Seminole Pumpkin this time around because I really wasn't happy with the flavor of the Seminole Pumpkin. The Seminole Pumpkin did make really good pumpkin pie, but as far as a baking pumpkin, it didn't compare. And we actually went over to, I sent one of my Seminole pumpkins that I grew over to Deep South Homestead and let them do a side-by-side comparison. So you can do a search on their channel where they did the side-by-side, and they also favored the Cherokee Tan. So this year we went back and got the Cherokee Tan seeds out of the freezer. We planted it, and we grew these things out, and I got quite a bit of pumpkins off of them. And we're just going to do a taste test. So we're going to clean these things out real quick. Just want to get you on video doing this. Alright. So we're not going to save these seeds, so I'm going to reach over here in the trash can. We're going to throw these out. Alright, then we're going to take our, what are you pointing at? Oh, I got some. Alright, so now we're going to cut the lid off the top of this Cherokee Tan. We're going to see how this does. Now these are seeds that I got from Danny and Wanda at Deep South Homestead 2 years ago. And I'd had them in the freezer, and I didn't plant any last year, so I used the same seeds, and they germinated just fine. I had no problems with them. And that's what we used for this year's seeds. But on these pumpkins, I made sure that I didn't have any other squash plants in the area. I isolated these, and so I know that these are pure seeds. That this pumpkin was only exposed to Cherokee Tan male pollen. So that's why we know that we can save these seeds. I'm going to take the spoon, we're going to dip some of these out. It smells really good. It has that nice rich pumpkin flavor smell going on.
And can you just save those seeds and eat them if you wanted to?
Yeah, you could roast these up. Turn these into your typical pumpkin seeds if you want to roast them. And that's what probably we'll do with some of the other pumpkins we have out there.
Okay.
I did have some pumpkins that while they were blooming, they were exposed to squash. And so I identified those, and I didn't save those for seeds. But I identified that these were the only things blooming whenever these were setting fruit. Seeds, but it sure does smell good. And we got our oven preheated. Preheated our oven to 350. I know I'm just making a terrible mess of this. This pumpkin, whenever I planted it, I trellised it up on our garden, And I run one vine down the garden one way and another vine down the garden the other way. This vine ended up being probably more than 50, 60 foot long. It was just huge. It took up the entire back wall of our enclosed garden. If this is your first time watching this and you have not been a follower on our Facebook or on our YouTube, and you think that you're finding value in this, click over to our YouTube and subscribe and set your notifications so that you get these kind of updates every time we do something with a garden or with the orchard. Alright, I think I about got it, all the seeds emptied out of here. I'm going to make sure that I got them all. We're going to put these up for sale after they dry out. So if there's anybody out there that wants some of these seeds, you can contact me to see if I have any left. This is not the only pumpkin that we're going to cook that has pure seeds. So we'll be harvesting seeds out of some of our other pumpkins also. These seeds were really hard to find just 2 or 3 years ago. This is almost went extinct on these pumpkins. Alright, so put that down. I'm going to wipe this mess off of it real quick. Get that ready to go. Okay, we're going to move our pumpkin over here. Now, how I typically like to do our squash is I like a lot of butter. So we're going to coat that in butter. Put a couple pats down in the pumpkin. Plenty of butter down in there. Alright, then we're going to move on to some brown sugar. We're just going to cover this thing in brown sugar. Not that much. That's a bit excessive. Alright, a little bit more down in there. Make sure that we got some good sweetness down in there. Alright, since this is a pumpkin that we're doing, we're going to use a little pumpkin spice. Plenty of pumpkin spice in there. And then we're going to put pumpkin spice on this one. Alright. Now what we're going to do is put this back together. I'm going to wrap this up in aluminum foil. So hold some moisture. Alright, got that one done. We're just going to create a little overflow boat around this one in case anything wants to come out. We're not going to cover this one up. We're just going to make a little boat. Got the lid on that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put these in the oven. We're going to have dinner.
Hey, wait, you got to put it on the...
Let's put it on the sheet.
Right.
Michelle wants it on the sheet.
Well, yeah. Or you'd have a big mess.
Now we'll put it in the oven.
Okay.
We're going to cook this for 45 minutes. We're going to finish cooking dinner. We're going to eat. We're going to go to church. We're going to change our clothes. And we're going to be right back at you. And we're going to do this taste test. All right. Just that quick. We're back. It's been about 2 hours. We've eaten. We went to church. We've came back. We're going to pull this out of the oven. This only cooked for 45 minutes. Well, for 40 minutes. And then we turned it off and just let it cool down in the oven while we were going. So this is what it looks like after being in the oven. That heat coming out of there. Set that off to the side. Delicata squash. That's looking wonderful. Look at that. How good that looks. Smells good too. I don't know what smells better, the squash or the pumpkin. Alright. Let's open this up. Let's take a look. Bam. That looks good.
You can see the stain coming off.
Let's do a little taste test of this one first. I don't want to burn my tongue. That is a really good tasting squash. I don't know how you could beat that. Well, we're going to see how this pumpkin turned out. It's full of liquid down in there. There we go. That Delicata squash was pretty hot still. Really good. Does have that pumpkin taste to it, but it's not that bitter pumpkin. It's a nice, sweet, almost like a butternut squash type of a flavor. I'd be growing more of these just for baking. This is pretty good. I'm happy with this. But this probably is still my all-time favorite as far as winter squash. We make pumpkin pies out of these. And I love the pumpkin pies that these things turn out. They turn out really well. So if you want to make a little pumpkin pie, I do recommend the Cherokee Tan Pumpkin. If you want to bake these for a baking pumpkin, I would even recommend this for a baking pumpkin. This is probably the best pumpkin I have ever eaten. I've only eaten a handful of like a sugar pumpkin, the Seminole pumpkin, and now the Cherokee Tan Pumpkin. The Cherokee Tan Pumpkin is hands down much better than the Seminole and much better than the sugar pie pumpkin. So as far as a good eating pumpkin, this is hands down the best one I've ever eaten. But as far as a winter squash, the Delicata is my favorite. Far above a butternut squash, far above an acorn squash, far above any of the other winter squash I've ever had. This stands out heads above all the other winter squash. And this one is hands down the best pumpkin I've ever had. So I highly recommend these two. Grow these in your garden next year and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think.